Oh, I don't know if that's necessary now. That's a difficult one. I don't know. I think he has much other challenges in wanting to get his salary higher and his days lower, and what could other things be in there? Probably, George will be working on the bonuses, not on his base salary because that's a bit more painful. But he will say, Toto, come on, if we're winning together and I'm on such a low salary, just at least give me higher bonuses or something like that. I think those would be the kind of points where George is just hanging out, because George has a lot of power, obviously, and he can take it all the way to well, then I just stay home for a year.
And also, he said he'll drive against anyone. He said he's happy to go. Well, I spoke to him. He's happy to go toe to toe with Max. And
Yeah.
if he's a man of his word, I think no reason to doubt that he's not. Then that'd be great. As we said, couldn't wait to see that. Quick word on our show partner Audi. The philosophy of Audi on to Ferrari, if we could, and that weekend. 4th for Charles Leclerc, 6th for Hamilton. Fred Vasseur said Lewis is back. Is he? I mean, he said he's an alien driving style. What did you think of the weekend as a whole?
So Lewis had a really good race, a really strong race. In qualifying, he took the 5-place penalty going into the race, and it was going to be tough. I don't understand why. I do understand. Ferrari said that we wanted to protect the overall grid spots of the team rather than just prioritising Charles. But this, to me, seemed like Ferrari's best chance of getting right amongst them from the outset of the weekend, compared to some of the races coming up. And Lewis was prepared to give a toe, and if I was Ferrari, I would have asked him to do that at the end of Q3, just to try and get that pole position. Charles battled with Oscar early on, but then fell away, and they were just kind of where they were. It wasn't a wretched weekend. It wasn't a brilliant weekend, but it was Monza, and I think the Tifosi were expecting a lot more. And certainly going into that race, I think we were kind of predicting that Ferrari would be a stronger team on the track than we saw.
What will be the take home at Maranello after a weekend like that, Nico? I mean, yes, there's a reset next year and everyone's aiming towards that. Do they just take it, right, doesn't matter, park it, let's go to 2026? Or will there's always, I presume, and for your experience of talking to Ferrari drivers, inquests if there's no podium at the home race in Monza?
Yeah. First of all, yeah, I mean, as I agree that it was nice to see Lewis having a really solid weekend, feeling comfortable in the car, being quick at times, showing him flashes of his brilliance. I think that was an important weekend for him. But at the same time, it's testament to how bad it was before. That just by him being close to Charles, we're all like saying, "Oh, this is a great weekend," because so many mistakes before and troubles with pace also. So, but anyways, good to see him have a good one, and let's hope he can carry it forward. That would be important for him. But Ferrari will be under pressure because they are always measured a lot by their home race, and it was a poor home race with no pace and no chance to win and no chance for a podium. So they'll be under a lot of pressure. I even heard that Ferrari may even be thinking like to open a department in the UK, because one of the issues they have obviously is that they struggle with talent acquisition, and the center of the world for motorsport talent is the UK. And like someone like Adrian Newey, who was in contract negotiations with Ferrari, eventually didn't go because he just didn't really want to leave his family behind in the UK. So that's why he chose Aston Martin. And many top engineering talent have the same challenge. So they're really, it's just, they're struggling to get all the top talent that they need to become a world championship winning team again. And can you believe it? It's 18 years since they won a drivers' championship. The last worst period was 1979 until 2000, which was Jody Scheckter to Michael Schumacher, 21 years. And they're almost nearing nearing that again. So it's been a massively rough patch again for them.
Let's tidy up a few final stories from the weekend. Let's start with Williams. They were expecting a good Monza, weren't they? Albon on a good strategy went from 14th to 7th, but on the Behrman Sainz, 10 seconds and 2 penalty points for Ollie Behrman for that. You said, what did he say? There's absolutely no way, Nico. You said that was a penalty. I mean, if you look at it to the letter of the law with the driving standard guidelines, that's what it appears that they're taking everything off at the moment. And if you go back to what happened, and again with Sainz involved with Lawson in Zandvoort, it's just they don't seem to kind of want to stray anywhere away from.
But it's my job to perform and reduce that risk. I still trust Toto and the team will continue to support me. But for Kimi and me, the last 6 months have not been the most assuring, and that is conflicting. All of this might seem harsh on Russell to some. This is a driver who not only beat Lewis Hamilton in 2 of the 3 seasons they spent as teammates from 2022 to 2024, but who was also the season answering any remaining doubts Mercedes might have had about whether he was ready to step up as team leader following the 7-time champion's departure. In demand, Verstappen still at the top of F1's pecking order. Job security is not a luxury many F1 drivers enjoy, even those, like Russell, who can count themselves among the very best on the grid. Russell would be close to the top of anyone's list of best performing F1 drivers this season, indeed for the last several seasons. But there is a pecking order in F1, and Verstappen is at the top. Had Verstappen not been a possibility, a new contract with Russell would have been a no-brainer for Mercedes. But he was, so it wasn't. Russell did not know that it would be him to make way if Wolff had succeeded in landing the 4-time world champion. But he had a good idea that would probably be the case. On paper, the logical person to move aside had Verstappen switched to Mercedes would have been Antonelli. He is a rookie. His first season has had plenty of downs as well as a few ups. And Russell has been performing comfortably better than him. But the idea of Russell and Verstappen being teammates hardly seems realistic. The two are not exactly best mates. They get on well enough if they end up in the same news conference after a qualifying session or race, even share the odd joke, but there is a mutual antipathy that was laid bare in their public row towards the end of last season. With Verstappen out of the picture at Mercedes for the time being, Russell said he wanted to take some time to think about how he wanted the relationship to work in the future, considering neither party had a better option, and both were insistent that a deal would get done. The subsequent talks have taken some time. One of Russell's considerations was the new rules that are being introduced next year for both cars and engines. Mercedes are widely believed within F1 to be ahead when it comes to the performance of the new power units, which will have a much greater proportion of their performance coming from the electrical part of the engine, as well as run on sustainable fuels. But what if they are not? Mercedes' statement made no mention of the length of the drivers' contracts, beyond saying only that they would race for the team into 2026. Russell's new deal is said to be multi-year, but that could just as easily mean 1 fixed year plus options for another 1 or 2 as it could 2 fixed years plus an option for another 1. It would be a surprise if Russell had not negotiated some degree of flexibility in the event that Mercedes are not competitive next year. Flexibility works both ways, of course. And the chances of Wolff giving up on his desire to have Verstappen at Mercedes in the future are not great. A lot will depend on the competitive picture next season. The change is too great for any team to go into 2026 with any level of confidence. After 4 championships in a row, Verstappen has not enjoyed Red Bull's slip from competitiveness since the middle of 2024. He fought a great regard battle to retain the title last season despite winning only twice in the final 14 races of the season. But he enjoyed it not one bit when that level of competitiveness continued into this year, and his prospects of a fifth title effectively evaporated after just a handful of races, even if they still remain faintly alive as the sport heads into the final quarter of the season. Contract to 2028 or not, Verstappen could easily be tempted by a move again if Red Bull, who have set up their own engine company to produce their new power unit for the 2026 rules, cannot win next season. And Russell knows the rules of the game. Wolff said earlier this year. When it comes to the contract situation, our sport is pressure, constant pressure. Whether you're in the car, outside the car, you just need to cope with that. And George knows that, like any other driver knows it. I feel that when you're being put in a comfort zone, sometimes that is actually more detrimental to performance than having a certain pressure point in the system.